Hi. Ooh. Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Simon and this is the beginning of a new reading vlog, which I'm actually filming in between another reading vlog where I am reading the Booker shortlist. In order to read one of the shortlisted books, I wanted to read its predecessors, and that shortlisted book is O. William by Elizabeth Strout, and I thought I would read My Name is Lucy Barton and then Anything is Possible before heading to that, and then after I've finished the shortlist I want to head to Lucy by the Sea. So I'm hoping this isn't going to mean you're going to see some double content. You might possibly of some of the things that I'm up to over the next week, but hey ho, it'll be fun stuff. I have very little knowledge about these books at all. I mean, I've seen them around obviously because people have talked about them before the Booker, and I really wanted to actually go and see the one woman show of My Name is Lucy Barton, which had the wonderful Laura Linney in, who I am obsessed with as an actress, and I missed it, so I would like to see that. I also do really like this edition, though the worry of that catching on things could give me bookish hives. Frankly, I don't know much about what sort of how they interlink, if they're in chronological order. I believe Anything is Possible is even possibly short stories. Anything is possibly short stories. I'm going to just give it a whirl. I'm going to head to obviously this one first. I'm going to start that later on this evening after I have interviewed Ruth Ozeki for Sky Arts Book Club Extra, which I present weekly on the Sky Arts Book Club Facebook group, which I always link down below, so if you want to go and check that out you can, although I will leave a snippet of it in here just as a teaser, frankly. I'm now stuck under Oscar. I was planning off and going and do some stuff, so maybe I'll just get cracking and read this, well, not read this all right now, but start this right now before I have my interview with Ruth shortly, and I'll report back either when I'm a bit of the way in, or will I devour this in one go? It's very vignette-y, which I'm quite excited about, some really short chapters which I really like. We'll see. I might report back a bit into it, I might report back at the end of it, maybe a bit in, maybe a bit in. Yeah, because this is the first one. This gets it all set up, I think. We'll see. Right, I'm waffling now, so I'll be back when I'm back with Lucy Barton. Last but not least, when we were together in Liverpool last year, you enlightened me of a career I didn't even know I could have, which was the career of literary escort, which isn't quite like it sounds.
Or is it?
Or is it? And I wonder if you could just tell people about that. I mean, if you're in America
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Canada, you might know, but if you're in the UK, you might
Yeah,
not.
yeah. Well, this is a job that existed before the pandemic, when certainly when authors were sent on these very long book tours. You'd be going to 20 cities in as many days, and so you'd get up in the morning, go to the airport, fly to the next city, and then the literary escort would pick you up at the airport and take you around to all of your media appointments, take you to the local radio stations, the TV stations, to the bookshops to sign stock, right? And then to your primary event in the city, whatever it might be. And so there's a whole most cities had at least one or two, big cities had at least one or two literary escorts who were, sort of working the authors who were coming through. And it was really we all got to know them, right? And so then the authors would then talk about the literary escorts, and no doubt the escorts would always talk about the authors too.
Well, it gave
It
me
was
hope
great.
that if it all goes wrong, I can
Yeah.
set up savage literary escorts.
Oh my
That's what it'll
God.
be.
I would sign up right away.
Ruth Ozeki was a treat, as you can see. She's so much fun to talk to, and if you want to go and see the full interview that I did with her, head to the Sky Arts Book Club Facebook group. And also, the more of you that go there, the more likely we are to get the full season. I know I'm saying that all the time, but it's true. It's one of my favourite jobs, and I would like to do more of it. But yeah, she was a joy. But on to My Name is Lucy Barton by Elizabeth Strout. I have read about the first 70 pages, and I'm going to insert some footage here from a video that I recorded for my Patreons, where I tried the first sentence, paragraph and page of the shortlisted books up for the Booker. And this is what I said about, I was going to say about Lucy Barton's writing then, about Elizabeth Strout's writing. I feel like that actually, though, the character is so vivid, but Let me insert that first. Her writing seems from that to be quite simple, yet stark, yet sort of powerful. Does that make sense? That's how I'm feeling about that one. So I'm going to put that one at the top there for now. I would like to say a few things about my first husband, William. William has lately been through some very sad events, many of us have, but I would like to mention them. It feels almost a compulsion. He's 71 years old now. My second husband, David, died last year, and in my grief for him, I have felt grief for William as well. Grief is such a solitary thing. This is the terror of it, I think. It's like sliding down the outside of a really long glass building while nobody sees you. Oh my God, that's gorgeous. But it is William I want to speak of here. His name is William Gerhardt, and when we married, I took his last name, even though at the time it was not fashionable to do so. My college roommate said, "Lucy, you're taking his name. I thought you were a feminist." And I told her that I did not care about being a feminist. I told her I did not want to be me anymore. At that time, I felt that I was tired of being me. I had spent my whole life not wanting to be me. This is what I thought then, and so I took his name and became Lucy Gerhardt for 11 years, but it did not ever feel right to me. And almost immediately after William's mother died, I went to the motor vehicle place to get my own name back on my driver's license, even though it was more difficult than I thought it would be. I had to go back and bring in some court documents, but I did. I became Lucy Barton again. I really like that. Really like that. I need to find out about Lucy Barton though, because I feel like I have to read the other two before I read this one. But I really like that. I don't know if you noticed, but tiny bit choked up when she was talking about grief. That's kind of how I feel about her writing. There's this real, it seems simple and it seems slightly stark, and yet it's so full of life. You're very much in this character's mind, which just sounds such an obvious thing to say because Lucy Barton's a narrator and you're getting her story, and I think this is possibly actually sort of a memoir that she's writing, if that makes sense. There's a bit of meta-ness going on there. Not in every book do you feel like a character just instantly is with you, and she's in hospital. We're not quite sure what she's in hospital for, neither is she, to be honest, and her mother has come to visit, and her mother and her have had a very strained relationship, really, for reasons that we're getting sort of flashes of, and we head back to Angash, where she, this sort of small town that she's from, and her childhood, and we find that she had this very impoverished childhood, and there's sort of an underlying trauma I think we're going to find out about there. That's kind of my prediction. What's interesting is, because my brain's thinking about William being up for the Booker, her husband at the time that she's writing this, but we know from the synopsis of William, is her ex-husband at some point in the future. In fact, maybe they've separated in this. Has she mentioned that? Because she is doing it back in hindsight. Anyway, we don't get much from him or like of him. He's quite absent. We know that he's had dalliances. He's kind of looking after their children, but also he's just not really with her so much. She's also got this kind of massive crush on her doctor, but I feel like it's more like somebody who's just kind to her, and you get this feeling that she's kind of been through quite a lot of unkindnesses in her life. And I find the whole mother-daughter thing, and sometimes because she's ill in hospital, it's like, is this real? Is it not real? It's got that sort of feel to it. I'm assuming it is, but it has a sort of otherly edges. That's how I want to describe it. Suffice to say, I'm blinking loving it. I wasn't expecting to as much as I am, and I'm just really chuffed. Like, I don't know, I feel like if her writing carries on like this, I'm going to blink and love this book and love all of the sort of Lucy Barton books. Well, I say that, let's not jinx it. Tonight, going out to the cinema to go and see The Woman King, which I'm so excited about, and also going to go and do a little bit of a pootle around the shops nearby. The cinema's near an like outlet village where you can get some absolute bargains. So I'm going to go and do that. I shall report back anon when I have finished this. Probably tomorrow, because we won't be back from the cinema until quite late, because I think The Woman King is quite long. I'm just so excited about this film. I don't think I've been this excited about a film for ages. I'll report back and maybe give you a little film review. Maybe not, just probably a sentence or two.
ranting. Felt home with the books.
Hi everyone, I don't think I have filmed in this spot, possibly ever on this channel, have I? It's the third seat within my library. Anyway, I thought I'd do something a little bit different because I've just filmed a video for my channel in the position that I was talking to you yesterday. That's so boring, such boring booktube admin shenanigans, I don't know why I bothered. What wasn't boring though was The Woman King. It was flipping amazing, and Viola Davis was phenomenal, but Lashana Lynch was insanely good. Like, I liked her in James Bond, but in this, like, she was funny, empowering, moving, just, like Oscars for all, please. Shopping was all right. I got this, which I'm very happy with. It's got like different colour blocks on it, a nice jumper. It was a whole whopping £9, and I'm thrilled, also thrilled because it's just a large. What has also been a treat, which I finished this very morning, is My Name is Lucy Barton, and the book took a turn actually for me. I think when I spoke to you, I was about a third through. We then hear about a woman who Lucy meets, who is an author, and who she bumps into once and then goes on a writing course of, and the woman's forgotten about it. And it's how it comes to be that Lucy realises that she can write, that she has a story to tell, and she has her story to tell, which she is telling us, but we get much more. Do we get much more? This is the thing that's so interesting with this book. We get this idea that her past was a difficult one, and we learn of the poverty and the bullying and the difficult parents, but yes, we only get glimmers of it. These sort of actually dark shimmers in the background of what may or may not have happened. There's quite a few bits that alluded to. There's one point where she reveals something and I went, huh? What I love is how Lucy will be telling you something and then she sort of shies away from it, and then she comes back to it, and then she's not sure if she wants to, and that to me is really, well, that's just like a conversation, and it does very much feel like, yes, Lucy is writing her memoir and giving these memories, but at the same time it feels very conversational. And I just think, again, without giving us too much away about her, Elizabeth Strout has just created this fully formed character that I feel like I've literally spent time with, sometimes beside her hospital bed, sometimes with her as a child, and sometimes just sat almost having a coffee with her as she's regaling her past history, or like you're the editor of her memoir almost because you're reading it and she's giving insights into how she's written it and all that. I just think it's a really interesting book. I also loved, that seems wrong. I thought the writing about New York was brilliant. No, I loved the writing about New York. New York was almost as a character, but what I was going to say I loved was the writing around the AIDS crisis in New York. And I don't mean that I loved that as in, I thought she handled that really well is what I mean. And it was very emotional, and as a character that means that the effects of that are close to Lucy. And I also loved the sort of writing about how you know where you come from and you know where your roots are and you know that they make you, but also sometimes you really want to shy away from them. So yeah, I think this is brill. I've left Anything Is Possible over on the chair there, but that's what I'm going to head to next. Hang on, let me go and get Anything Is Possible because I don't like to be talking about it, but when I'm not holding it up for some reason, I find that almost impossible. So I shall just go and grab that now. Andy's back. So Anything Is Possible is what I'm going to head to next. However, as I have just over a week before I'm filming with Mum and discussing the Booker shortlist as a whole, I'm going to be reading a couple of these every day. I think there's like 9 or 10 in here, between some of the books, obviously before I read O. William, and that is the plan. So what I'll do is I'll catch up with you every now and again and then insert footage from what's going on. I'm going to be packing this and one of the Booker shortlisted books to take to London. I've got a 6.5 hour coach journey because there's a train strike. Ugh. But I'm really looking forward to seeing some of my friends and colleagues from Story Trails, because we've got a screening of David Olusoga's, well, it's the premiere of David Olusoga's documentary, feature-length documentary about Covent Garden, which ties into the project. So that's going to be really good fun. It's part of BFI London Film Festival, but I think I'm also meeting Marusha for a lovely brunch, and then there's a party afterwards. So you'll get snapshots of that and little bits and bobs about this as we go. There we go. I'll catch up with you when I have more to say on this. Should I read you actually what it's about? Because I have no idea. Anything is Possible tells the story of the inhabitants of rural, rundown Amgash, Illinois, the hometown of Lucy Barton, a successful New York writer who finally returns after 17 years of absence to visit the siblings she left behind. It's going to be quite interesting considering some of the glimmers that we've had of that and those relationships in My Name is Lucy Barton. Reverberating with the deep bonds of family and the hope that comes with reconciliation, Anything is Possible underscores Elizabeth Strout's place as one of America's most respected and cherished authors. Let's see if that Lucy Barton love continues. I'll report back, like I said, when I've read a couple. Bye for now. I never know how to end these middly bits. I don't know. Stop, Simon, stop.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, cool.
Can you please reveal which city will host the Eurovision Song Contest 2023, Graham? Over to you.
They're trying to build the drama. I just want to rip it open. The city that will host the 67th Eurovision Song Contest in 2023 is Liverpool.
Congratulations to Liverpool. Let's go up to Kevin to see how the news is going down there.
Oh, she's getting in a vlog. Oh, for God's sake.
That I'm on. Go on, hit it up and down. Just like your video.
And that painting from almost 3 centuries ago is so clearly Covent Garden. It looks so much like the place we know today.
Alert, alert, alert. Simon has been a crazy fool. This is editing Simon, who has realised he's done what has become a bit of a common occurrence over the last few weeks and months, and something that I need to address, in the fact that because I'm recording quite a few different things at different times and I'm doing quite a lot of sitting down and recording one thing and then the next, once I've used that content, tend to delete anything where I'm wearing the same outfit. And so I have deleted my thoughts on Anything is Possible at 2 different points, as well as my thoughts on O. William. So what I'm going to do is talk about Anything is Possible now, insert some of the stuff that happened between me reading this and then reading O. William, and then talk about O. William. Apologies. It'll get better. I swear. I need to sort out how much I've got on this blinking phone. Anyway, let's talk about Anything is Possible, which I read on my trip to London, and then for a few days afterwards I discovered that I can't read on coaches, and it was like 7 hours where I was quite cross about it, but I did manage to edit an epic vlog of me going and, well, only reading books that I bought in independent bookshops for like 2 weeks. I'll link that down below. I was really proud of that vlog, actually. I'm not so proud of this one, because I think I had to do some editing in that one, actually, editing Simon. Anyway, Anything is Possible, which is the second in the Amgash series featuring Lucy Barton. And I say featuring Lucy Barton because she isn't in it this much. She isn't in this that much. There's one particular story that is based very much around her and her going back to meet her siblings, which I mentioned before, and kind of is like the hook on the blurb of the book. But actually it's a lot more about, there's one actually about her brother, which has some references to her, and there are other people who do reference her at other points, but actually you're getting to know more the people that Lucy Barton references in My Name is Lucy Barton from her childhood when she talks about it. And that, I think, adds a really interesting sort of layer. I also think it gives Elizabeth Strout, with these short stories, the ability to go into different people's lives and give us different versions of what's going on. So, oh, Oscar, what is it about Lucy Burton? You love it when I'm talking about her. You always want to come sit with me, so you may come and sit with me at any second. I enjoyed this collection. I think the ones that I enjoyed most were the ones that sort of featured more of Lucy in, because I felt like I knew what was going on there. One about her brother, one about, I think it's her cousin who, or her cousin's daughter, who's got like, well, is going to basically have a similar trajectory as Lucy, we sort of see, and there's a lot of hope because Amgash is a place where a lot of people are very poor. There was one standout story for me though, which was about, I think it was an author coming to a literary festival, but not Lucy, although they talk about her book a lot because it's even in the local bookshop. There was one particular story that I found so creepy and dark and twisted, and I just loved it, and I kind of want a little bit more of that in Elizabeth Strout's writing. I think Lucy sort of shies away from things quite a lot. As I mentioned before, she'll talk about something and she'll sort of, in Lucy Barton, she'll talk about something and then she will sort of move away from it. And I feel a little bit like Elizabeth Strout is doing that with some of the subject matter in her books. So for example, this dark creepy one, it's sort of creepy, but it doesn't, I think, reach its full dark potential, although I really, really, really liked it. Sometimes when it gets to like tough subject matter about sex, actually there's a brilliant one as well about a woman who owns a sort of B&B or a guest house, and I really, really loved that one too. In fact, I think I found that kind of sinister in a way, and it made me think of Roald Dahl's. What's the one where it's about the landlady and the house smells of almonds? That used to absolutely freak me out. Anyway, there's little moments like that, and the other creepy one is about someone staying in someone else's house. Maybe that's a trope I quite like. If you've got any books that you'd recommend with that sort of trope in, do let me know. But yeah, I really enjoyed this collection. Like any collection, it has ones that I think were particularly brilliant and ones that I felt less so. It's given me an insight into sort of Lucy's roots and the people that she was at school with and how they've grown up and how sometimes they reflect on how she's now grown up and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I enjoyed this. It's not like, she's not at the forefront though, so I kind of feel like, is it part of the series, is it not? Well, it obviously is, because that's what's been decided, but you know what I mean. Maybe you don't know what I mean. So there we go, anything is possible. Really enjoyed that short story collection, and also I have been saying I've been wanting to read short story collections for ages, and it did get me into a really nice routine of reading a short story or two here and there when I had either less time to read or when I was just having a break from one of the other Booker books, because some of them have been quite dense. And one thing that I love about Elizabeth Strout's writing is it's so full of life, but it doesn't feel jam-packed and condensed in. And actually, maybe what I was just saying about her sort of shying away. No, Oscar, you can't do that on the rug, that's new. Maybe what I was saying about how it's not that she shies away, maybe that's... What was I trying to say? And shying away sometimes from really going in depth into some of the traumatic or darker sides of life, I think maybe that's quite actually a deft touch now I'm thinking about it, having just compared it to other Booker books. So there we go. I will pause my thoughts here before I talk about this and insert some footage of what I did between reading this and this, or as I was reading this. Wow. What? I'm here with Philippa, Philippa, what's your news?
The news is that Liverpool has been chosen to host the Eurovision.
And who worked on that?
I worked on the beat.
Legend,
exciting.
legend. And this is proof that I'm going to get tickets to all the semi-finals and final.
I mean, will I is the question.
No, it's about me.
Oh, okay.
What are you doing, Oscar? I just came to stretch my back out and what's happened? Now I can't move. I just did there. So there we go. Now, thoughts on Oh William. Why have I paused? I was a little bit blank there. Oh William is kind of William's story as Lucy Barton's ex-husband, who she's still in touch with. Sadly, her second husband, David, has died. And this book it's not about grief, but it has these moments where grief comes back to the fore, and it's almost like Lucy is trying to preoccupy herself with William's life in order to not deal with her own grief. That has only just come to me. The beginning of this book I found incredibly moving and throughout continue to do so. How do I feel about this one? I really, really, really enjoyed it. So I'm just going to say that from the off. And I am finding that Elizabeth Strout is firmly becoming like an author that I know I want to read everything by. Is she a favourite author yet? This is my third of her books, so it could be the telling one, but I think Lucy by the Sea will push me, hopefully not over the edge. That sounds a bit wrong, like I'm with Lucy by the Sea by a cliff and off I go. I think that will push me into like favourite author territory potentially. With this one, we are following Lucy as she helps William get over is it his third or his fourth marriage that has fallen apart? I think it might be his fourth. She's there for him because they have children together and it affects them too, although their daughters are grown. And it's how he discovers that he has a secret sister. And one of the things that I think I really enjoy about all of Elizabeth Strout's books, and I always want to say all of Lucy Barton's books because, as I mentioned before, the narrative voice is so strong, you feel like you are having a conversation with Lucy, and she's regaling you what happened when she goes on this trip with William to find out more about this secret sister that he didn't know he had from his mother, and also actually about his mother's backstory, which I can't and I don't want to give anything away, because I do think if you're going to read all of these, like, it's interesting. I was worried that having read Lucy Barton and seeing that depiction of William, this might be a lot of referring back to that, and it does refer back to My Name is Lucy Barton a couple of times, but not like continuously, or it doesn't do a previously on Lucy Barton. I know Mum read it without reading Lucy Barton, and you'll see Mum's thoughts on it in a bit. I know because I can see into the future, because I'm playing editing catch up. I really, really enjoyed this. I got much more insight into William. I still can't quite work out how they ended up together. That's something that's a slight mystery to me. There's some very moving parts about the end of a marriage, and as somebody who has gone through that themselves, I found that very moving, very true in a lot of ways. No marriage ends the same way, obviously, and my marriage ended very differently to what happened with Lucy and William, but there's this thing about that sort of loss of someone who you're incredibly possibly angry with, devastated by, still love, but you know it's not, all that kind of stuff. But I thought the way that she looks at how those people mean, like a lot of people say to me, oh, do you regret like getting married and then getting divorced? I'm like, no, because it was part of my life, and it was brilliant when it was brilliant, and then not when it wasn't. And I think this looks at that, and I found that on a personal level very, very kind of appealing, and it got me, and hopefully I got it, or vice versa. And yeah, I just thought that was really, really beautifully written and done with a real honesty, a rawness, even though you're hearing from Lucy, you kind of get both sides. And sometimes, even though you know it's biased in Lucy's eyes because she's the one telling you it, there's enough inference from William's interaction with her as to his response or what was going on for him. And she doesn't make anyone really a guilty party. There's no victim villain here. And I thought that was brilliantly done too. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Oh William. I really, really enjoyed it. I did get a bit over the Oh William exclamation marks that went through it. I thought it was really, 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 really good. And like I said, there were certain bits that chime with me personally as well, which is always kind of a special moment with a book. So there we are. Now I will leave you with some footage that I did film not long after I'd finished Oh William, and then some footage of the Booker, and then the week after the Booker, because it was so bonkers busy, I didn't really do much reading, as you'll see when you catch up with me when you next see me. This isn't too. I wanted this one to be really good as well, because I really, really like these books. You'll see me when you see me, and it'll all make sense, hopefully. Let's hope. We can only hope. Morning everyone, I'm trying to get back into the routine of filming, just holding my camera like this wherever I may be. Watch out for that cheeky vase, that's actually for Melanie, but I haven't seen it for so long. That's her Christmas present. What was I going to say? Oh, I'm filming the Booker ranking and reaction to the shortlist with Mum shortly. So I thought, even though I'm like not going to pick up Lucy by the Sea probably until Sunday night, Monday, because I'm doing an event with Taylor Jenkins Reid tomorrow, which I'll include a little clip of. I thought before all that I would include a clip of what Mum's response to Oh William is. I've no idea whether she's going to like it, not like it, but I thought that might be quite interesting because this is a Lucy Barton vlog. Other plans are that hopefully going to be going to a new bookshop that has opened in Liverpool. Very excited for that. It's Dead Ink Books, and it's the publisher have put their offices above it and have now got a bookshop within it, and I think they do a lot of indie presses. I'm really hoping I can get Jawbone, which I think they publish, which I'm struggling to find anywhere. Anyway, maybe some Aniano too. That's nothing to do with Elizabeth Strout though. And then I think the rest of the day will be pizzas. Chris is going to get his uni out, oi oi, and Strictly. And then tomorrow is Taylor Jenkins Reid, and actually I'll be reading some more Taylor Jenkins Reid before then, because I want to have read more than just the book that we're going to be talking about. So that is the plan.
Oh William by Elizabeth Strout. Now, I think we said earlier, I struggled to rank order these books. I really, really struggle, because I think this and the other three that I haven't yet spoken about are absolutely fabulous, you know, and really it's like trying to choose between ice cream, chocolate and something else, isn't it? You know, they're all different but equally delicious. Now, I have not read, is it the previous three?
Two.
Previous two Lucy Barton books. So Lucy Barton is the key character, isn't she, in this story? She narrates it very, very truthfully and honestly, it would appear. You know, she's got this really frank narrative voice, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And in this particular Lucy Barton incarnation, she has just been widowed, and she's sort of reflecting on she's reflecting on her previous marriage, as well as the marriage that has just ended through her husband's death, because she was divorced before. And the novel sort of explores her relationship with her previous husband, which I found absolutely fascinating, because there are times when clearly she just wouldn't want to be in the same room as him, but actually times when they're incredibly close and they really need each other. And I thought, you know, I can see why this book, I really want to go back and read the others. And she writes about relationships so realistically, because they are complicated and they are complex. And there's no such thing as a perfect relationship. It doesn't exist. And I just loved all that. There's also the character of his mother, her sort of former mother-in-law, Catherine, who is very wealthy and kind of really supported Lucy when she was younger because she grew up in poverty, and is kind of patronising and kind of not. And there's a mystery around her and William that is unpicked partway through the novel. It starts to be unpicked. And I found that really entertaining as well. So yeah, I really loved it, and I think she's got a really unique, pared down style of writing that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Going really well already. Hello. Yay! That's one.
Two, maybe? Yeah?
And now it's time for karaoke! So I would like to start off by asking you, Carrie Soto, she's back. Where's she been?
That's
So much for spending time with us this evening. It's been an absolute treat. A big thank you from everyone to Taylor.
for coming out and being here in person. It means the world to me, and thank you, Simon.
Talking to Hanya Yanagihara about a little life is a privilege that still blows my mind. I was so immersed in that story, I honestly felt like I lived on Lisbonard Street. She told me that she still thinks about Jude every single day of her life, and I do too.
The winner of the 2022 Booker Prize is The Seven Wounds of Hanya. Congratulations.
You should.
That's annoying.
It's coming. It's coming again.
I still love.
That's on camera, Tess.
I would get my fat damson off the top.
Yeah, the actual damson has a stone in, obviously.
Oh, there she is. Fabulous. Fabulous.
Are you worried there?
Yeah.
How worried?
I'm worried you're going to be on stage.
Hi everyone, so it has been a while since I had a chat with you. I thought Oscar was going to come and have a cuddle with me there because whenever I mention a Lucy Barton book, he seems to be right there, right on there. He can't even read. It's been a while, and as you'll have seen, the book happened and I sat next to Dua Lipa, which was like bonkers but brilliant and lovely, and we had lots of chats about books and she was fab. I went to a new bookshop, Dead Ink. I'm wearing the merch. You'll see that I did my event with Tage and his read, which was a treat. Is that Oscar making a funny noise trying to be attention seeking? No, it's a dog. I should know the difference between dogs and cats. Anyway, also, what else? Oh, I got stuck in Sheffield after a day with my colleagues at Libraries Connected, who it looks like I'm going to be staying on working for longer. I'll talk about that more when I can. I went and saw Sophie Ward in The Mirror Cracked, Miss Marple. That was brilliant. I've also started Lucy by the Sea, I think, about 4 times. And I finally now got like one big chapter in. And I have to say that this has started a little more slowly and also has been a bit like previously on, which William never was. So that's quite interesting to me. I'm not quite sure why, but it is. All I can say at the moment is that Lucy and William are leaving New York. William is a scientist. He knows it's March, well, early 2020. William knows something big is coming with a pandemic, and so Lucy is leaving with him to go by the sea in Maine, not far from where his secret sister was, and we're going to follow on from there. She just had a very long chat at a distance with a neighbour and sort of talks about loneliness, which is quite interesting. Loneliness is kind of a theme actually within all of these books, I would say. It's interesting spotting the themes and stuff reading it, and I'm actually glad I had a bit of a break, unintentionally, because not because I wasn't enjoying reading them and wanting to carry on. I was, like, I'm kind of binging them for literary fiction, but more because I don't want them to run out. So I wonder if that's why I'm being a bit slower with this one, because I don't know if there's going to be another, and I don't want to get to the end of it, even though I know I've got all the Olive Kitteridge books to read. Anyway, the sun's going a bit funny. I'm off out to go to the cinema and to Mowgli with Chris and his cousin Lindsay, and then we're going to go and see Black Adam, which I'm very excited about, and then I'll report back possibly tomorrow, if not the day after, because tomorrow, full day of work, final full week of Story Trails. I'm only in for like 3 days next week, and also we're seeing Will Young in the evening, so maybe I'll catch up with you after all of that when I'm either like halfway through or have finished this or wherever I get to. But I just wanted to have a catch up with you. Oh, that light. I'll catch up with you again anon. Vlogging food porn, very exciting. Everyone's I'm vlogging. I'm vlogging. Hi everyone, it's a couple of days later since we last spoke. Will Young was excellent, by the way. What was also excellent, and I can firmly say is one of my favourite books of 2022, was Lucy by the Sea by Elizabeth Strout. I did say at the beginning I was a little bit nervous of it because it was a bit repetitious, I guess, or not even repetitious, it was doing that thing of previously on, and that passes, although there are nods to previous books and indeed to another series of books, because Olive Kitteridge gets mentioned in here, who I know is another of Elizabeth Strout's characters. Nothing much is given away about her, she's just mentioned a little bit, enough to be intrigued if you haven't read them, and probably if you have read them just to give you a little bit, but oh, there she is. I think partly the reason this is probably one of my favourite books now of the year is because of the culmination of the previous 3 and getting to know this character so well. However, I think this would be a favourite anyway. Sorry, I thought I threw one on the floor. I think this would have been a favourite anyway if I hadn't read the others, because of everything it looks at. It's quite, I think, different from the other ones in some ways. It feels a bit darker. The otherness that I mentioned in My Name is Lucy Barton comes much more to the fore. There was a brief mention of it actually in Oh William, but it's definitely more to the fore in this one. And I loved that slightly unexpected nature of it. I thought the way it looked at grief was incredible. I cried twice towards the end of this book. I'm not going to give any spoilers as for why. I also really like the fact that it leaves you on a bit of a cliffhanger, which is ironic because Lucy is living on a cliff by the sea. But it really gives a different insight into her, and actually something that I have felt in the previous books is she's quite passive, but there's a moment in this where she really sort of, I don't know, gets a bit bolshy, and I just love that. So I'm hoping if there's another one, we might see more of that. I don't know if there's going to be any more of these. I would really like there to be some more of these, but definitely in the interim, I'm going to head to some of her previous ones. I think I might go to Amy and Isabel. Isabel was also another character that was mentioned in this, and I wondered if that was going on, because basically, sorry, I should say, this follows sort of the year or so after the beginning of 2020 when the pandemic came. And what is really, I think what I love that Elizabeth Strout does is she kind of encompasses all walks of life. And in one part of this book, she mentions that, or sorry, Lucy mentions, this is what I've always done the whole way through, Lucy feels so real that I can't really distinguish between her and the author because it's written so well. And I know they're not the same person, obviously, but you know what I mean. Anyway, Lucy's talking about how somebody says that her books are just for like the chronicles of white women. And I hadn't thought about that in the lead up to this, but also what I really appreciated in this book was that it looks at not just the pandemic, it looks at the Trump presidency and sees it from all people's sides, which I thought was really powerful and really well done. And you can understand why people become disillusioned and do the things they do, and the fact that we should understand that. We might not agree with it, but we should definitely understand it. It looks at people who didn't want to have the vaccine or didn't want to wear masks and all of the sort of even vaccine deniers. It looks at what happened with George Floyd. It looks at bisexuality at one point. It looks at cancer. It looks at death. It looks at, it looks at what it's like for a man to no longer be able to perform in a certain way, which I thought was really interesting too, and how that is for a woman. And I think there's some kind of alchemy at work in these books, because it's all from Lucy's perspective, and yet you really feel, and I think I said this before, like you're seeing it and her from all different sort of angles, even though you're not in anyone else's mind. It's how they react with her, and I don't quite know how Elizabeth Strout does it, but I think it's kind of genius. So yeah, I loved this, and like I said, for it to make me cry twice, I was really like emotionally involved. I fell in love with a character called Bob Burgess and have certain thoughts on that storyline, and something that I wanted to happen and didn't. If you've seen it, it's not a movie, but it feels very similar. I do feel like I've kind of watched a whole couple of seasons of Lucy Barton. One of these shows coming onto the telly, they should be. If you've read it, you'll know what I mean by that. So yeah, I thought it was great, and I really, now that I know that sort of Olive Kitteridge is in the same world, as it were, I'm just really excited for those. But like I said, I might read Amy and Isabel. If you've read any of her other books, let me know which ones you would recommend I head to. Should I just go to Olive? Should I go to Amy and Isabel? Let me know. But I guess I can round off by just saying this has been an absolute pleasure. I've definitely found a new favourite author. I think that the way she writes, the simplistic or seemingly simplistic, slightly stark yet sort of vibrant prose is quite incredible. So yeah, this has been a real hit reading kind of time for me. I'm not going to read anything else by her straight away. I'm going to have a little bit of a breather because also I don't want to run out. But yeah, so there we go. If you would like for me to do this again in the future with another author, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know if there's any authors that you'd like to see me do this on. I might have read them already before, but you might recommend some. I was thinking about like, we'll see. I'm not going to sway. Also, if you've got this far, please leave me an emoji of a pumpkin, because as it goes live, I think it will be the weekend before Halloween. But let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought. Let me know if there's any others you would recommend of Elizabeth Strout for me to get to next. And if you've read some of Lucy and you've read some of Olive, without giving anything away, tell me if I'm going to get on with Olive or not, because I'm intrigued, because there's a few things alluded to in this one that suggests she could be an interesting character in a very different way from Lucy. But yeah, I really loved reading these. I think it might be one of the longest reading vlogs I've done, not just in the fact that it's lasted over a few weeks, but also in the fact that I think it's heading for an hour long, which is quite excessive. But let me know if you like a long vlog. Oi, oi. And yeah, don't forget to leave me a pumpkin emoji if you get this far. I will speak to you all soon. If you've not read Lucy Barton, get to Lucy Barton. That's my thoughts on it. Beguiling is how I would describe them. Beguiling and full of life. So yeah, I'm going to shut up because I'm waffling on, but I will speak to you all very soon. Bye.